All right, we're starting at 7:03. Oregon City Arts Commission. Can we start with our roll call?
Well, good evening, everyone. Here's the roll call. Trieste Andrews.
Here.
Karen Burrig.
Here.
Emma Lugo. I think Emma is participating on Zoom.
She's on mute.
I'll come back to Emma in just a minute. Josh Planton.
Here.
Choir.
Here.
Jen Woodward.
Here.
And Tammy Jo Wilson.
Here.
Emma Lugo.
I'm here.
All right, thank you.
All right, I believe, do we have any, no, we're not doing minutes yet.
Well, I have not received any public comment, so if you would like to go on to a discussion of...
I always want to do minutes before public comment, it seems easier, but.
But we can go right on into minutes.
Okay, so minutes for approval?
Did everybody have a chance to review our minutes from August? Anybody have any questions, comments, suggested revisions? Sweet, and if not, just a motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, choir. Any second?
I'll
I
set, go ahead.
I second.
Okay. Alrighty.
And we never did adopt our agenda, should we adopt our agenda as well?
Yes. Any amendments to the agenda?
No.
Alrighty, and everybody's okay with adopting the agenda? You could just show of hands or say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Thank you much. I think we are ready to jump right into our first presentation.
We have Salvador from RAC.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hey,
How
good.
are
Good evening, Salvador. Welcome.
you? Thank you.
I don't have a very formal introduction for you, but we are pleased to have with us tonight Salvador Mayoral from Regional Arts Culture Council. He's going to chat with us a little bit about Going Public, which is a mural artist training technical assistance program. And I'm sorry, I don't have any more formal comments than that, but we're pleased that you're able to be here tonight, and please free to share any other introductory comments about yourself that you'd like us to know. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet with everyone, even if it's virtually. Yeah, my name is Salvador Mayoral. I use he, him pronouns. I am the Senior Public Art Manager at the Regional Arts and Culture Council. I've been with the organization for almost 9 years. And part of what I do at RAC is what we call the org for short, is everything from managing percent for art projects, which we have a 2% for 2% art ordinance for both the city of Portland and Multnomah County. So I manage a number of projects that include anything from exterior, sculptures, artworks, things that are architecturally integrated, interior works, temporary works, artist residencies. I also oversee the murals program, which the program I'm going to talk to you about, Going Public, was born out of. Yeah, a lot of community-based work as well, just on the side. So I have a small presentation to share. Is it okay if I share that?
Of course, please do.
Okay, awesome. Well, here we go. And I guess actually before I jump into the Going Public, I'll just give you a little context just about RAC first, and then the murals program in particular. So for those that don't know, the Regional Arts and Cultural Council is a nonprofit that actually has contracted back with the city and the county It used to actually be the Metropolitan Arts Commission years ago. So it was a county and city bureau for the arts. And then in 1995, contracted or became a nonprofit and then contracted right back with the city and the county to handle the arts investments, which includes public art, but also grants and a lot of advocacy work, arts education, and a couple other things. So that's sort of just the large overview of the organization. We do a lot. And public art is one of their legacy programs. It's one of the biggest programs that the organization has. Part of what we do our work in Portland is that there's an ordinance, a murals ordinance that was established in 2005. And part of that is to review murals within the city of Portland boundaries and sanction them basically, as well as offer funding for those mural projects that are coming from the community. And so that established this program in 2005, and we've been doing that work. And then probably in the last, I would say 5 to 7 years, we started to do additional work in the murals program, focusing primarily on professional development. So this is where Going Public, a mural skill building intensive, was born out of. There definitely has been a desire we have seen in not just Portland, but in the larger Portland metro area of artists, wanting to have access to walls to paint, artists that are working in different medias to move into mural making. And then also just a lot of artists that, don't come necessarily from or come from backgrounds that are not usually associated in the field. So just seeing like a lack of BIPOC artists, a lack of female artists doing murals. And so part of our goal with these professional development programs, which includes Going Public, is to try to create scaffolding and infrastructure for artists coming from those underrepresented positions to move into the mural space. So a few years ago, in the heart of the pandemic, we have a murals committee that reviews those applications that we get that are from the community, projects that are coming from the community. Really wanted to figure out ways to invest, especially in that moment where so many artists were losing opportunities in emerging artists. And so the biggest thing for them that they identified was really developing a more comprehensive professional development program. And that's what this is. And so we really were workshopping and working on the framework for this program in 2020, 2021. And then last year, we launched its pilot year. So I'm going to go to this next slide here, if I can. There we go. And so some of the goals that we identified that we really wanted to be the pillars of for this program was definitely professional development training. The other thing that we've heard a lot over the years is our emerging artists and even established artists either wanting to mentor other artists or emerging artists wanting to be mentored. And so we wanted a mentorship opportunity as part of this program. The other thing that we thought would be really interesting, and this is based off of also a lot of public art boot camp or intensive programs that are happening nationally, of like a cohort component. So like a group of artists that come into this training together and go through it. And in that, really establishing camaraderie, peers, realizing there's a lot of value in that. And then also offering a paid commission. So after they go through this training, they would get a wall that they could be painting on, but also being paid for that labor. And like I said, we were really interested in aiming this opportunity at emerging BIPOC artists. So those are the those are basically the high level goals that we wanted to make sure were instilled in the framework of the program. So what we decided is that because it was a pilot year, we invited 5 emerging BIPOC artists to participate. We had established 4 workshops, and those workshops would take them step by step through the mural making process. So everything from like initiating a mural project, transferring a small scale design to something large scale on a wall, learning how to use the materials, anything from aerosol to, different kinds of brush techniques, learning what it means to, advocate for how much you should be paid for that kind of work, understanding what nuances happen in contracts, insurance. The other thing that we wanted to also bring for them is community engagement, since that's a big part of mural projects. And so what does it look like to either work with our community members in either the design of the project or actually in the facilitation of that painting itself? And then once they went through those workshops, and those workshops, I should say, were a mix of virtual and in-person, then we had them be partnered with a mentor in the field. And so they had about 2 meetings that were identified, one sort of at the beginning of the workshop phase, and then another when they got to the design phase. And so after the workshops were finished, they all got assigned a wall. They got to talk to the property owners. If there were partnering agencies, they got to talk to them, understand the site, understand potentially maybe the goals that they want in the mural. And then they got to spend a couple weeks creating a design. Then they presented it back to a panel of the stakeholders of those sites for review. And once approved, then they were allowed basically a month or so to paint their mural. That will be up for a minimum of 2 years. The other thing that was really important for us in establishing this program is that every step of the way, we wanted to make sure that artists were getting compensated for their time. I think one of the things that traditionally we've heard is that, oh yeah, just, have artists, give them this wall and, it gives them exposure. That should be enough. And realizing that's such a huge fallacy. Artists are, they're often, they're entrepreneurs themselves. They're trying to take care of themselves. They need to eat as well. And so we wanted to make sure that whatever time that we were asking these artists to participate, that they were getting paid. So they got a stipend for each workshop they attended. They got a stipend for the design phase, and then they got a commission amount for their painting time and labor. So in order to do this, we also realized that we need partners. And so part of what I was doing along with a couple of other folks in 2021 and in early 2022 is really establishing who those partners were. And so we talked to folks at Miller Paint. They were really great because they offered us a wall at their Hollywood location. And additionally, they also offered really generous discounts to those artists for the materials. We worked with TriMet. They had a wall also at their Gateway station. We talked to the City of Hillsborough. City of Hillsborough is going through right now setting up cultural districts. And one of those cultural districts is called Calle Diaz, which is 10th Street, and really wanting to bring an artist to be going through this program and then come back to that very same community they're from and paint a mural there. And then we also worked with Zidell Yards, and they were really generous in offering space for us for one of our workshops that happened in person. Here's just the artist cohort. These are the wonderful artists that we invited. Abdiel Flores, for example, is the artist that came from Hillsborough. And then some of these other artists we learned about because they've applied to other opportunities in the past that are for murals and they didn't get it. And for us at RAC, it's really important when an artist applies to an opportunity, and if they don't receive it, for us to really think about how we can continue those relationships. Artists spend a lot of time on applying for opportunities, and we just don't want to say, okay, thank you, and good luck next time. Trying to figure out what are the other ways that we can continue to build that relationship with artists that we see are interested in, moving themselves along their professional journey. Here are the 4 mentors that we had worked with on this. So Kyra Watkins, William Hernandez, Alex Chu, and Patti Vasquez Gomez. They were each given, Kyra was actually given 2 of the cohorts, and then the other 3 were given 1. And we just really let them figure out what that relationship looked like. Ultimately, we've heard so much from artists that it's just about connecting with someone. Like, yes, it's great to understand, have that knowledge sharing be part of it. But I think ultimately, right, artists are really interested in establishing connections, finding other peers in the work. And that can lead to other things, whether it's like, not only having a peer and a friend in sort of this similar kind of work, but some of these artists are so community minded. And for example, Alex Chu, I know he's done this many times. If he can't do an opportunity that he's been, given, he calls onto the other group of artists that he knows, and he generously says like, well, what about this artist? And it's also a way of connecting them to opportunities. And so a lot of what we asked for in those kinds of meetings that they had was really just them building their relationship. And so, we heard a lot of good things about that aspect throughout the time of the program last year. Because we had 4 workshops, we wanted to make sure that we had 2 presenters per workshop. And so we invited a number of artists, again, muralists within the community. And part of what we also wanted to have, the reason for 2 is it's, you hear an artist has a particular experience, and they could go about a way or a technique or an approach, one kind of way. We thought for the cohort it'd be really valuable to hear multiple perspectives so they can almost pick and choose what, for them works. And so that was part of the goal of having at least 2 presenters in each of those workshops to give their perspectives and their knowledge, and really have the cohort just kind of hear for themselves the various approaches that they might take for them as they move forward with, whatever the topic was at hand. And so here are just an itinerary of the meetings workshops that we had last year. We had that initial mentor-mentee meeting, and then we called it Mural Making 1, Mural Making 2, and, admin and getting work and community engagement. And we did it also within a short period of time. We want to take advantage of the warm season, because in Portland and the Portland metro area, we only have a certain amount of months for painting outside before the weather turns really rainy and it's no longer feasible. So we had the program itself happen between June to, I would say, early October, right when the season turned. So here were the various sites that we had the artists assigned to. The 2 sites that you see at the top are the 2 murals that we had established in Hillsborough in that cultural district, Gallerías. And then we had 2 artists painting here on the bottom left at that Miller Paint location in Hollywood. And then here on the bottom right was the location at that TriMet station. And so the first mural I'll show is just the Gateway Transit Center. Here is what the site looks like. We had Rebecca Rodella doing a mural. She called it Loteria in Portlandia, based off for those that grew up with it in the Latinx community, specifically Loteria. And so she is from Portland. And so this was really important for her to sort of infuse part of her heritage into her hometown, which is Portland. This was the design that she presented, and then this is ultimately how it came out. For the Miller paint location, the two artists that we worked with, Nabil De La Rosa, who's originally from Atlanta, and this is Feeling Color, Filling Spaces. This was also something different for them. They do figurative work, but they added much more abstract and more organic shapes and patterns into their design. And this is what it turned out. And then Safia Loans, she also from this area, and I should say 19 years old. She's very young, but had gone through mural making like camps in her teens and was always interested in like having her, like doing her first mural. She's an illustrator. And so this was the design that she presented. And then here, this is what it looks like ultimately once she got to the wall. We try to ask the artist to stay with the design that they presented, but as many artists tell us, once they get to the wall, just sometimes things shift a little, and we usually are very flexible and amenable for that. And then for City of Hillsborough, here were the two sites. They were actually right across from each other on that 10th Street. This one is at a deli shop, and this is what Abdiel Flores, he presented. Sunflowers is a big piece of what he considers Hillsborough's character, and so he incorporated that into his design. And then at the Mercado right across the street, we had Peruvian artist William Hernandez do this, presented this design, and then this is ultimately what he came up with and painted. So yeah, that's just the overall portrait of our first year. I'm going to stop sharing here. And part of what we're looking at now is to, because of the success of the first year, and it's just value that we know and have heard from those that participated, we'd want to expand it into other parts of the Portland metro area. And so I've been talking with Anne about what would it look like if it comes to different locations in Clackamas County, in particular Oregon City. And so right now I'm in the midst of conversation of talking with the City of Happy Valley, Oregon City, Lake Oswego. We're also talking to Gresham, and then a couple of other locations in East Portland. And so just liking the idea of this like rotating and being somewhere geographically different, and hopefully also bringing artists from those areas through this kind of comprehensive training, and then being able to go back to their communities and paint murals and bring their artwork to the areas that they're from. So yeah, if there's any questions about any of this, I just said a lot, so.
Jump in.
Hi, yes, ma'am, microphone. Hi, thanks for coming. And my main question is regarding the funding. So for this program, do you supply the funding for everything? I mean, it sounds amazing, but does RAC supply the funding for it, or do you look for funding for the program?
It's a combination of both. For last year, we had a portion over the planning years, identified for this pilot year. And so what we told the partner organizations is that we would pay for the stipends for the workshops and for the design phase. But if a partner organization like City of Hillsborough was interested in having murals come to their city, would they be interested in contributing the fee for the actual painting of the murals. And so we were able to work out, an agreement in where City of Hillsborough contributed funding for those particular murals that were painted in their city. And we took care of the other costs for the different phases, the other phases.
What was the average cost that you were able to give? What were the average commissions that you were able to give to the artists?
So generally muralists go, the rate for a muralist is when they paint is about $25 per square foot. And that includes their time and materials and labor. It doesn't include things like prepping the wall or putting in anti-graffiti coating or even the design phase. So the actual painting though itself, we decided that we wanted to get probably a 10 by 20 size, roughly around 10 by 20, which would cover at that $25 per square foot, about 5,000. So about 5,000 is what we were looking at for each mural commission itself, based on those dimensions. And then what we offered a $500 stipend for the design phase, and then we offered a $200 stipend per workshop. So with four, we covered about $800. Each artist received $800. They paid $10 at all 4 workshops.
And so for all of those other costs for, that you mentioned, like costing or prepping the wall or any repair that needed to be done, who picked up those costs?
So, and this was also some partners, if they didn't have the resources to contribute to maybe like the fee or the commission of the actual mural, that we worked out an agreement where they would prep the wall. They would cover that, or they might pay for the anti-graffiti coating that gets applied. And then for other sites, what I worked out was having the city of Portland, if it was in the city of Portland, having them come out to the site and apply the anti-graffiti coating. And sometimes they're able to do that depending on the site, no charge. And so just, going through some of our partners or working out different kinds of agreements with each site partner, what seems more feasible for them. So we're really, I didn't have a particular ask where I'm like, if you got to do this and this is how much we want, we definitely wanted to have a conversation and we're pretty amenable, but sharing with them up front, like this are the various pieces that are gonna, the costs of this particular project. What do you feel comfortable potentially through in-kind or cash contributions, contributing to it? And then we would go from there.
I don't want to take up too much, I'm sure people
You're
have
okay.
questions. I have one more question. So from the time that you had the program where you instructed people and you had the workshops, which is amazing, from the time to the mural was finished, what's that kind of time frame? How many months?
Yeah, so the first introductory meeting before the 4 workshops took place happened in mid to late June. And then the last mural that was painted was mid to late October. And so at least roughly about 5 months. Yeah. I would say for the next round that I'm right now planning out, I would like to make that a longer runway. And so I'm hoping to give just more time and breathing room for all of the different phases. So looking at something that's more like 9 months, or about 9 months versus 5 months. But last year we were really ambitious. Thankfully, we were able to accomplish it. But I would definitely want to increase it from 5 to about 9 or 10.
Sounds like an amazing program. Thanks for all your support for the arts.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions.
What other questions do we have? I was telling Salvador a little bit about the support that we have here in Oregon City for murals in particular, how we had revamped the mural code when the Arts Commission first got started, the number of working artists that we have on our commission, and just a little bit of your all backgrounds. But I don't know if you have other questions. I got kind of excited about the program myself.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah, Josh.
So you mentioned there's a $200 stipend per workshop that they attended. Was there a requirement that they attend all workshops to be able to get the mural at the end, or did they have to meet a certain number of the workshops?
Yeah, well, we put all of the artists for each of the different phases into agreements. So I think I should say, first of all, I asked them if I gave them the timeline and then told them sort of the scope of work that would take for each of the phases and saying, you know, what is your availability? Can you do this? And I had a lot of artists, I should say, that who I initially reached out to tell me no. Even as great as an opportunity when an organization saying like, we will pay for your training and give you this. There were a lot of artists that were like, you know, I can't with my schedule, and I just want to be very fair to, you know, you all and other artists that may want this opportunity. So I think from the very beginning, that open communication was pretty key in the selection process. And then after that, we did have a separate agreement for each of the phases. And so that they all knew that this is what was coming. If they wanted to receive the funding, you know, depending on the phase, they opened into this agreement that they themselves were going to hold themselves accountable to. So, and I didn't have any artists at any point in the way, I don't know what the word is, but like say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I think part of what was so great and important about the program is that it's a professional development opportunity. There already inherently is some, I don't know what this is like, but I'm going to try it out. And so we really told them that too, like, this is your opportunity to like see if this is something that you would want to do. And you know, if you don't at the end of it, that's fine. You don't have to continue. But at least you had the opportunity to try. And so, yeah, we go into it with some breathing room for the artists. Like, it's not end all be all. Like, we just want to, you've expressed a desire. We hear that. Here's an opportunity to try it out, and we'll go from there. So.
Okay, thank you. My other question was on the pilot program. It sounded like you went out and kind of recruited artists that you had previously worked with or had seen pieces with. When you launch it to go public, are you expected to continue that process of seeking out artists, or are you going to open up applications for people to submit and try and join that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say in this next round, we're probably going to do what we call when we go out and specifically invite artists, we call it an invitational. Mm-hmm. We'll probably do another invitational, but I think that's part of, we're also, as we're sort of workshopping the framework and the program, but we have plans to move this into, a third and a fourth year. And I think the third year that we do this, it will be open call. So we are working towards that ultimately open call process. Yeah.
Question. So if the city of Oregon City were to partner with RAC to do this, I'm sure we'd have to figure out what it would look like, but would it be artists participating, like if there was multiple cities, everybody would be participating at the same time, or each city's kind of running their own, or like, what are you guys envisioning with that?
Yeah, and to sort of piggyback, because I was thinking the same kind of thing, choir, like, and if we wanted to do your next program in 2024, how much time would we have to be able to pull a group together?
Yeah. So would it just be like a group coming from Oregon City, with the rest, with the Portland group, and we're all doing it at the same time, or, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, with City of Hillsborough, because they had two sites, we chose two artists. I would say part of that's like contingent on how many sites are available happening in this, the location. And yeah, I think depending if the funding is also available, we don't mind scaling it up. I think the mentors, I think finding mentors for us, and also just seeing how, like for example, Kyra took two cohorts under her wing. We could definitely figure out how to scale it a little more beyond 5. I think also timing is part of it. Right now I'm in the midst of, as I've been having these conversations with different locations, but also with different artists and mentors. I'm hoping to do this next round in the next 2 months, and basically have it go from the fall of this year into late spring, early summer of next year, and then starting it up in 2024 in end of summer, then for the third round. And so I think part of it's just going to really depend also too, where some locations I've talked to are like, I don't know if I can do it right now, but what about, at this point? And then others are like, yeah, I think we're having a conversation. So I think part of it has to do with capacity on the agency or partner. The thing that I'm really mindful of is that obviously I work within the city of Portland, and the training is both virtual and it happens in on-site locations. In facility, that's actually not a problem. But when it's the actual painting of the work, if they're painting outside of Portland, you're dealing with different, right, permits. You're dealing with different just city code. And for City of Hillsborough, we partnered with their public art supervisor. And so he was really key in making sure that those artists that painted at those sites had the necessary permits if they needed it. He also helped identify property owners in Hillsborough to participate in the program. And then he was also on hand in case any of those artists needed, any kind of assistance. And that for me was really key, because I don't operate in Hillsborough. I don't know those kinds of details the way that someone like him does. So I think it'd be really key to find also agency, organization that is willing to also manage, when it comes to the actual painting, the work that's happening in their city, because I think that kind of capacity is going to be key in launching this in whatever city, we go to next. So.
Thank you.
I would like to propose that we continue this conversation. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be in a position for, something starting this fall, but for a 2024 cohort that was Clackamas-wide, Oregon City could help identify a location perhaps, and reach out to the artist community here and work in conjunction with some other municipalities in Clackamas. So I could see like a Clackamas cohort next year. You already mentioned a couple of other communities in Clackamas, and work with the Clackamas Art Alliance as well, and really make something shine in Clackamas in 2024. To do that, I don't know when we would need to start preparing the logistics of instructors and that, but some of the in-kind space, I already have some idea, and I'm sure people here at this table do as well. So what would be our next steps if we wanted to try to continue the conversation around a 2024 Clackamas cohort that Oregon City would participate as part of? When would what would the next steps look like to your mind?
And you're asking me particularly, is that
Oh,
right?
yes, I am, yes.
I would say, obviously having a conversation, uh, probably if like the next phase that I'm planning is going to be in late fall or late summer of 2024. I think for that kind of timeline, it would probably be great to get the conversation going in winter, early spring. I'm already, like I said, having a number of conversations. Not all of them are going, not all of the interested agencies I'm talking to right now are potentially going to move forward with this this year. So there is, I think part of what's been really valuable for me is that relationship building and sort of aligning certain pieces that if they're not coming to fruition now, they hopefully will come to fruition later. And so I think early 2024, starting that conversation with the various identified partners and then kind of going through, okay, what does it look like to either bring in an artist from your particular community? Are there properties that you think or walls that would be ideal or for this kind of project? And then, talking about what different agencies' capacities are, and then what does a partnership look like? So
I'm seeing head nods. All right. Well, super. Salvador, really appreciate you coming. Unless there's any other final questions, I would like to. We'll talk. We'll continue to talk. Maybe we'll have one or two people from the Arts Commission volunteer to be the leads for this project, and be working with you and others and reaching out. So we'll figure out what that looks like on our side. But yes, I think we want to continue to have continue the conversation and go into 2024 identifying how we move forward and what getting together again. Yeah.
well, I appreciate all of your time. Thank you for letting me come and talk about this program, which I'm very excited about, and just hearing the questions, the interest, the curiosity. That's really lovely. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, I went a little bit longer on the agenda than I
That's
thought that it
fine.
would, but I don't know. I would love to, figure out how we can,
Yes.
it wouldn't be Oregon City specific, but maybe it's Clackamas specific, and we start reaching out to some other communities.
I mean, if the murals are in Oregon City, and we would have some say over that if we're the ones working with them.
Mhm.
That would make it significantly more likely that they were in Oregon City.
I mean, I know 3 places right off the top of my head that would like a mural. And I would love to keep the money in Oregon City.
There you go.
We have like 2 murals ready to go.
Yeah, and they could reach out. I believe, like Sandy has its own arts commission, so if they wanted, they could just go work with us for Oregon City. They could work with Sandy, or other places
Yeah.
as well.
But if they wanted to do again, well, we'll keep talking about this. Are there folks in particular who are excited about being maybe our Arts Commission point person for this?
I don't want to be, just because I applied for this last time, and I'll probably apply for it again.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm happy to put my name forward on.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
I'd love to be a part of it.
All right. Thank you both.
Oh, Emma.
Thank you. Are you raising your hand for that, Emma?
No, I wasn't actually. I had a question.
Yes.
So if we get involved in this, what would our involvement look like? I mean, I've listened to the whole presentation and I hear a lot of variables, but I would love it if somebody could just kind of explain to me in sort of a simple way, like what would the Arts Commission here in Oregon City do to be involved in the RACC, either the cohort program or getting murals, done here in Oregon City? Could somebody tell me what that would look like?
I think we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have two ends of a spectrum. One being we follow with their program, we basically let them run a lot of it and we just help provide resources of some type, maybe some cash, some in-kind help. Or the other option is we franchise it and we basically make our own version of it, which
Yeah,
might
I
be a
don't
little
think
bit
that's
more.
what they were asking.
No, I don't think it was, but I think that is in terms of the possibilities that is in front of us right now, right? I guess I'm saying.
That's a whole
there's-
new thing on the table.
I understand. What I guess I'm saying is that we don't know what it's gonna look like right now. We need to, I think, continue that conversation and figure out what makes the most sense.
Right,
Well, I
think-
mean-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Based on what he presented, they need people in this community that know this community, that
Yes.
know the paint supply stores, that know the buildings with the walls, that know the community members, that know the artists. Because they want to find locations, they want to find artists to paint within their own community. So we're the ones here in the city. So if they're coming in, they need somebody to give them the tour as it is and to connect them with those resources and those artists and those locations. And we're the ones that approve the permits. So they
Yeah.
need to make friends with us if they're gonna wanna come into our city and do murals.
Yeah, and I don't think it's possible in a 20-minute presentation to really iron out all the details. I think there's going to be a next step of really sitting down with him, with whoever wants to participate to get all those details. And Emma, I love all your input. If you put into questions, this is what this is what I'm wondering, and how does this work? And that would be wonderful. To even before we make a absolute decision to go ahead, to know what is the process, how does it work, what's our participation in
Yeah,
it.
I just think it's a really good opportunity for us to partner with an organization that already has all the professional development hashed out. And then we could be a bridge to artists in our community to get that professional development. That's how I'm seeing it, like,
Yeah, they got the logistics, the format, they got
Yeah.
the program, they just don't have the community knowledge.
Right. I agree. And I had an earlier conversation with him and was thinking that we could do all those things that you just said, help identify people in the community who wanted to participate, artists who wanted to sign up for that kind of development, property owners, and maybe even identify some portion of our own Arts Commission budget that could go towards one of the commissions or two of the commissions. We would figure that out. But those are the what I was thinking when I initially chatted with him. Yeah.
would that be helpful too? I know our budget's over 2 years, so I don't know. Well, that wouldn't work. Never mind. I was gonna say when we ask for more money again, to be like, look at this program, can we add this onto it? Like, we would like to participate, but that, we already
ship
have
has
that settled,
sailed,
yeah.
Ship has sailed, All right, so we move on to our next agenda item, request for qualifications, assessment of Oregon City's public art collection.
Would you like to lead us in going through this, Trieste?
Sure, and I think reading this at home, what I didn't realize, I think one of the things we discussed at one of the meetings was that we were going to bring names, and then we were going to be able, as an art commission, to make a decision ourselves rather than sending it out as a RFQ or RFP. So has this changed, Anne? Because you said you were going to have to check with the city to see if we would have to make a public, or if we
Yeah,
could
I mean,
decide.
I think we would. The answer is yes. If we are going to release dollars to commission someone to do the work, we will have to have a public solicitation.
Oh, okay, so this is
Yeah.
what this came from. Like, I read through it, it looks amazing, it looks wonderful, I don't have any other questions with it. I already have someone that's given me, because I thought there was a chance that we might be able to decide this within the Art Commission. I already have someone that's given me their resume and their qualifications, and, but yeah, then when I looked at this, I'm like, oh, so we might have to go out.
Because a little bit like we talked about last time too, when we have certain projects, we just have to, needing to go through the process to give other people the opportunity to weigh in and see if they want to participate. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only question I have with this, because it looks perfect, is how do we go about doing that? as the, how does it get,
That's a good question.
go
So have,
public?
have folks had a chance to read through the RFQ? Because, you know, so again, to do this is coming from our grant. The majority of the enhancement grant we're going to use for the replacement of the statue, 7th and Center, but we put on $750 in the enhancement grant for this contract. So in here, you know, I wanted to let folks know, I mean, it's a large, and asking folks to evaluate, so I think because we only have $3,000, we'll need to direct them
Yeah.
where to focus that time. It's not a very large, it's a small budget. We'll have to be strategic about how they spend their time. It's a good question that you ask. So how do we promote this? You know, we send it out to arts organizations in the area.
Yeah,
you know,
same way
let's
as
brainstorm
we've done
ideas.
with everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Post on the website, art organizations.
Yeah, and the only other thing is if you go through that art collection, there's so much of it that would not even be what's the word?
Applicable.
To this. So do we as an art commission go through it ourselves and say, these are the things we want you to look at, rather than going through, what is it, like 100 pieces, which a lot of them are just, you know, like in the elevator, they have the etchings that are around. That's
for
not
sure.
something that would need any kind of, so.
I think we would
just a
definitely have to
question
tell them. In
for
fact, I think it says it wants to focus on murals and sculptures. And,
Okay.
and we would need to, as a commission, give them good direction.
Yeah.
With regards to the schedule, is there a reason for the certain dates? And I guess mostly,
What?
I didn't have my phone on. Is there a reason for the certain dates and having the report submitted on Friday, the 15th of December? Some of that just looks like it might be tight, that's all.
Yeah, no, this was just me throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think this is too tight, this can definitely be amended. I thought that if,
I feel like we try, and if it needs more time, then
Yeah.
we give it more time.
so this gives people about and then thinking, do we want to try to receive proposals before we meet again in October? So that's why there's that 2-week window, so that if it's, we would then be prepared to, you know, discuss this and select somebody when we meet next month. So again, if we feel like we need to give it more time and make that decision in November, I mean, we can do that. It's just what people feel. Again, it's not a large contract, but this was the spaghetti I threw at the wall.
I think, choosing someone at our next meeting would be.
Assuming there's enough and qualified people, yeah. Let's try.
The 17th of October is a Tuesday.
Right, and then we're meeting on the 19th, I believe.
I know, but you have on here, Arts Commission selects contract Thursday, October 17th.
Oh, then I guess that should be whatever that Thursday is. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'd be okay extending out another month, giving a little bit more time for collecting more replies, and then selecting something in November. Because I'm not sure how long it's going to take for them to do this
It's
report.
just then we're getting into Thanksgiving, would be right when our meeting is in November.
Oh, Thursday, right. That's
Correct.
right. Third Thursday is Thanksgiving.
I do think, since you called out that both the Thursday, the October 17th and Wednesday just had the wrong dates. And so by knowing that they actually would be having until the 18th of October, right? So they have 2.5 weeks. It's a little bit longer than at least it looked like on here. So I just wanted to call that to your attention, that does give them a little bit more time than this would indicate.
Okay, so yeah, so they would have to turn it in by the 18th, and then we meet on the 19th. Yeah.
got enough time for processing? I mean, you only just gotta like put them on paper, I guess, or print them or something.
Well,
but-
ideally, I'd give you guys a week to review it before we even met, but again, it's just if how much, I mean, making sure we give ourselves enough time to review them properly, or give yourselves enough time, assuming we get 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many we'll receive. So I'm happy to amend it as you suggest.
I mean, I kind of feel this is super quick turnaround too,
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. I mean, what's the possibility of, rather than meeting the third Thursday in November, which is Thanksgiving, we meet Tuesday, the third
The
Tuesday?
third Thursday.
That'd be
is
right
like the
before Thanksgiving,
The
which
17th.
seems a bit,
Right after Thanksgiving? How about that?
Yeah. Well, the third
Yeah,
Thursday
it's
is
like
the
the calendar
16th, and I think Thanksgiving's the following week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we got 5 Thursdays in November this
Oh,
year.
all right. So that might work then.
well, it says Thanksgiving's on the 23rd.
Right.
On my phone. So yeah, if we met the 16th.
And what's the third Thursday, Tim Jones?
I might not be here for that one, but. What's that? The
What-
third
what
Thursday
is
in
it?
November is November 16th.
Oh, okay.
So maybe
I
give,
would feel more comfortable with that, but up to
I might
everybody
not be here
else.
for that, but we'll see.
I mean, so we could potentially give people until, say, so if the 16th, you all get it the week before, so give people until like November 7th, say. And then that gives me a day and a half to package it up, get it out to you. You have a week to review it. That sounds like
Yeah.
a better.
Yeah.
And then we can do the same kind of score chart or whatever if people want to submit that who aren't going to be able to make the November meeting. That gives them at least a week to look through everything and submit their
Yeah.
Yeah.
thoughts.
Okay. So I'll still I'll get it out next week, in early October, but have the deadline be 11/7. And then you'll get a week to review.
Will you share that with us when you put it up so we can share it with other people?
Of course, yeah.
And then you'll change the report submitted date too. You can push that out to, I don't know, the end of January or whatever. Just giving them,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Well, do we ask them for a timeline on what the report would be? Maybe we should just ask them to tell us.
Oh.
Who knows, maybe they could do it in a week, I don't know.
And I'm not sure what that means, the report submitted. What does their,
Or just their final, what their work is done.
okay.
That's what I meant. There's another way to phrase it again. Let me know if you think it should be phrased differently.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Okay, I understand. Sorry, I was a little lost. The actual report, the finished report. Okay. We give them
So-
a month.
Part of this is to get this information for our sake and what it would take to restore some of these additional pieces. And then part of it is to make sure that we're insuring them for the right amount, right? So I assume that once this report comes back, we would then have to turn around and basically give it to the city commission to say, this is what they're estimating these costs and this is how much actual insurance coverage would be needed, or?
Look at the actual RFP.
And, I mean, these
Explain
guys, are
that.
they able to prepare something that would help with that
Yeah.
proposal to the commission?
And explain that a little bit more about the insurance. What do you?
Well, so right now, one of the issues we had
I
with
don't know the
the
answer.
recent statue being destroyed was
Yeah.
that we didn't have enough coverage on it to
Right.
replace it.
That's
So now, getting this report back, we're gonna say, okay, these pieces cost this much. If we wanted to go back and replace them, we need at least this much coverage. Does the city have that? Yes, no. If not, then we have to I would assume we'd want to make a recommendation to the city commission to look at increasing the insurance to cover all of the
And
artwork.
A good question is, does that have to come out of our budget? Or would that be under the city insurance?
I would
Well, I
fund?
would
assume it'd
imagine
be
it would
under
be
the
the
city
city, 'cause
insurance,
it's not
but-
under our budget now.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
But when they prepare the report, I'm thinking, is there doing it in such a way that basically we can just pass it on. It's not just, something for us to review. It's really a recommendation of,
Yeah.
here's what you should get in terms of coverage.
Okay.
So it's a two-part report. It's a restoration report, like,
An evaluation.
and like evaluation of that, and then also, yeah, like a monetary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you improve these things, this is what you're gonna end up being closer to in your needing coverage.
So should we add a line of like estimated value
Yeah,
of the work
yeah.
into the scope of the work?
Say that we may use the findings to include recommendations to adopt the level of insurance currently on city-owned pieces, something like
Or
that.
Yeah.
include the valuation of the work, like this work cost is valued at this much.
Because I think
Like,
that might change who would apply, if you have to have
Yes,
the
yeah.
knowledge to like evaluate a value of a piece.
Yeah.
That's different skill set than just like what it needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder honestly if our budget's enough for that person.
No, say it again.
I feel like if we're asking them to do both those things, I'm like wondering, is like 3,000 enough to pay them to do both those things?
And I
That's
did
a really
get-
good question, to be honest.
I did get quotes before I went for
Yeah.
the grant. And I ended up putting it a higher amount than what that person
Yeah.
said.
But was the quote just for the restoration assessment? Or was it for restoration and valuation of the
In
work?
evaluation,
Oh, okay.
evaluation of, in order of what needs to be either restored or replaced and an approximate
Yeah, so that's
cost
just
of that.
restoration. We're
That's-
talking about doing
Like
restoration
actually
and
value of the art itself.
evaluation. Like you take your ring to the jewelers and be like, how much is this worth, type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we need to know how much,
Like if it got
yeah,
broken and ran over by a semi, how
Versus
much?
cleaning the ring versus how much is my ring worth?
there you go.
Yes.
I'm not wrapping my head around this. I'm thinking it's a report of what has to be,
Not building the house,
Okay.
insuring the house if there's a fire.
so what we're also asking them to evaluate each piece for replacement cost? Yeah,
Or-
so that was never
Yeah.
a part of.
Or
the-
just what it's
Josh
worth
is
so that we can
suggesting
make sure that,
we might want to
Yeah.
include.
But
Yeah.
that,
But that's a different
You-
thing,
That's what
right?
we're just
That's a very
talking
different
about.
thing.
That's
Yeah,
what we were just talking about. That's what we were saying.
we need more
That's a
money
whole
or a different
different
person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
whole
is
different
that, that's right,
person.
is that a, who's gonna have both those
yeah,
skill
Yeah.
sets?
that's never been in writing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
never
that's
been
what we were
approached.
just saying. Maybe that's
never
a
been-
different,
yeah.
that we can't lump
So
those
what
together.
if we move
No.
forward with what we've got and then we determine if we want to then have a part B that's a separate assessment for the value of
Yeah.
all of the work?
Yeah.
I definitely think,
I think so too, because I know the people that do value for art, there's a whole like database, and you have to pay money to be a part of that, to be able to get access to the information of what the art is worth.
right,
And so somebody has to belong to that, have the skill set, be paying to be an art value
Yeah.
assessor.
I wonder if we could have a partnership with the public rec folks that
Yeah,
might have
that might have
access
that.
to that
Yeah.
database.
yeah.
Yeah, we can ask for that in our partnership, yeah.
And if you look at that list, it has the value of the piece. And it was the value of what it costs.
But that's
Like
not
that piece.
accurate now.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
accurate.
It's not accurate
Yeah.
now. You'd have to maybe ask the professional, what do you put percentage-wise for evaluation, for it appreciating year by year? But one of the reasons that was so low, that I didn't know until I got into it, and I think I mentioned it before, is that piece was a fabricated concrete. It was a fiber structured concrete.
Yeah,
It was not brass, it was not brass, it was not bronze. It was a concrete, which is a lot less than.
right,
Yeah, that's why it was
Right.
like 5,500.
and that's why it was obliterated by a car.
Yes. absolutely.
Had it
Next
been
one
a
will be out of
bronze, it
titanium.
might have gotten screamed.
So I think we're in agreement, we should just keep it at the kind of maintenance service evaluation, and then have an appraiser be a whole separate
Yeah,
person, thing, outside of this.
yeah,
I agree.
but that, I think that should be on our to-do list moving forward though,
Yes.
because it's in our best interests.
It is in our
In
best
the city's
interest.
best interest, honestly, to
is.
know like, I mean, how much is our art collection worth?
Yeah,
And maybe we can go back to the commission on that one and ask for the funding directly from them
Correct.
for that, because that's a valuation of assets for the city. And that really, I would say, almost falls more under them than us.
That's true, that's true.
It's just like any building they own.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Mental note, put that in our argument for the money, yes.
Yes. We should be collecting ammunition, like,
We have the recording.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so, did we just complete that?
I think so.
Anne, are you tracking?
So.
Are we done with it?
yeah.
Well,
And are
thank you,
the
Trieste,
dates?
for, taking the lead on putting this together. And,
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, and, I will revise this tomorrow and get it out to you guys so that if you are aware of someone in your network who you think might be interested in pursuing this, we will release it publicly. And, yeah, we'll see what we get. And I'll share it with Soul Flags, TRAG, other arts organizations, please share suggestions, similar to how we
Don't
released the
forget
last
RAC.
RFP.
Share
What's
with
that?
RAC.
Yeah, sure.
Share it with RAC, yeah,
They
of course.
don't know.
Our new best friend.
That's right.
Yeah, I think who needs who in that relationship?
I was gonna-
I know who needs,
I was gonna say
it's
something
like,
like, no.
we don't need them, they need us.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
people probably, most of you know, but RAC's budget,
Yeah.
which was always funded by the city for 7 million, they cut it down to $1 million from
Yeah.
7.
Well, even not just that, we're the ones that know the community, funding or no
Yeah.
funding, even if they had 10 million, we're
Yeah.
still the people here that know. And we have something they need. They have something we need to, so we're gonna collaborate, it'll be good.
Okay.
It would be beautiful.
All right. Planning for 23, 24?
Yeah.
That's exciting, I'm excited about planning.
Planning.
On the last couple of meetings, we've wanted to try to set some priorities for the coming year and for this fiscal year. So I know there's a lot of different things we want to try to achieve. I know we had a strategic planning process that we started last year, so I don't know how, yeah.
I'm sorry. In that, we still don't have a call for the sculpture written, is that correct?
Oh, that's a very good question. Where are we with that?
I don't know, the question came up suddenly, I have no answer for it.
I think it kind of answers itself right now.
The answer is no.
Didn't someone start one? I thought I saw.
I think I did, me and somebody started one, then I was like,
Yeah.
I can't, I was
And then I said,
overwhelmed, and
I
then.
can help.
And then, yeah, so
And
I tapped out.
that's when I
and
figured
then
out we didn't have
worked, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
And then you took the ball and got the grant. Oh, man, we're such a good team.
together.
And then you guys thought you were all set?
Yeah.
So maybe on our list for our 23, 24 planning, so there's that, so
Mhm.
right, that's one thing to finish or figure out, pick up where we left off
Oh
and
my
move
gosh,
that further
yeah.
down the road. What do we call that?
Call for sculpture replacement?
Yeah, cause it's
We
directly
do need to
related.
decide, yeah, when we do one, do we want to release that? Yeah.
As soon as it's written. I feel like, well, because just the mayor's been like, hey, when did the sculpture, y'all? Like,
Every time
Yeah.
she's there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like if we want to look good for the mayor, we're like, we gotta get us a good one. We gotta get it done. We,
yeah. And if we wait too long, then we'll end up hitting some deadline, and we're like, oh, how do we get
gosh,
this
okay.
in before our next meeting?
Yeah.
So yes, I think in holidays,
Right. Do you think in this moment we could say who is willing to write it and maybe bring a draft to the October meeting?
I'm pretty sure I started drafting it before, and I can pick that back up.
Okay.
Someone did. I thought we-
I think it was Jen and I, and
Start one
then-
already?
Oh,
Jen I.
Yeah.
That's super weird. Yeah, I can bring a draft or I can give it to Anne so that we have it in our next,
share it to everybody.
yeah, packet.
I think another thing to bring up at least by next month, is who's remaining on the commission, who
Yeah,
had 2 years,
commissioners,
and who.
comings and goings,
Right.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
When is our next, time of changing of people?
Look through the records and see. I think, isn't it, don't we have it set up? so that
It's
every year
January,
two-
yeah,
yeah,
it's January.
That there's
Yeah.
2 people come on.
Right.
Well, that's good to know now, because
Yeah.
we would wanna start doing recruiting if people are leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like
So-
I might be a 2-year person.
I know, I think I'm gonna be up in, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna be up, but I'll be up to like make that choice in
We'll need
January.
to, we'll need to select a new chair.
Yeah. So we should definitely put that on the agenda of recruitment and retention of membership on the commission. And I think, was Selena, I think she was a 2-year, was she a 3 years? Anyone remember?
Look it up.
Who are 3 years? You're, okay,
Oh.
then the rest of us are probably 2. Jen, myself, and Selena, and you're new, so.
And the
How do
one
you, how do you
years who
decide if you
extended.
get to be a 2-year or 3-year? I
When
don't
we
They're talking
first
off the
joined-
original
when we
start
first joined,
date.
they did it and separated, so we didn't all leave at once.
Oh,
So you could
gotcha.
sign up when you
You're,
first,
you're now at the top, so you're in your first year of 3.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Now I understand what's happening.
And the members that
Staggering.
renewed from the 1 year to extended, did they renew it to a 3? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh.
And then, can I ask a question?
I think,
Oh,
well, Emma has had her hand up.
oh, my bad.
Emma?
It's for another planning topic, so I'll wait until we're done with this and then I'll ask about another planning topic.
Okay, thank you.
So is the rule for serving as a commissioner, you serve your 3 years and then you're done? You can't come back as a commissioner again? Or is
No,
that-
I think you
I don't
can
know, you can come back.
rejoin.
Oh, okay.
You-
Oh, I
you-
thought it was 3 years and that's it.
No,
No.
For 3 years.
no, I know
Okay.
previous commissioners were on the entire length of the time.
Yeah.
But you have to get, they have to let you come back.
I think
You have
It's
to
not up to
be
you.
reappointed,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to be
you're
it was a
reappointed.
max of 3 years and then you had to leave the commission.
No, you just have to get reappointed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I don't think, I think for us, you guys can agree or disagree with me, but I think that's a good idea, just because I think over the years, it would be hard to find people if you can
Yeah.
only serve and then
I
be done.
agree.
And also some of the stuff takes so much traction time.
Yeah, and the lead time,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
We just started getting good at getting done in 90 minutes.
We might even be done
It might all
early.
go away again.
I'm shooting for early tonight, we'll see.
You shot early last time.
But Emma, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if the commission is at all interested in pursuing a % for arts proposal this year.
Yes, thank
I mean, we're
you.
talking about planning for 23, 24. I feel like doing a % for arts program is one of the most significant things this commission could do. And I know that it's not exactly something that's popular on the city commission, but I think it's something that an arts commission really has a good job in advocating for and showing why it's actually a benefit to the community.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we should try, whether we are successful. I mean, I hope we are, but we should try not because we don't think we're going to succeed. I think we should try, and hopefully we succeed. If we don't, we keep trying.
Taking on to Emma's comment, I think just in general, we need to start looking at other resources for funding. So 2% ordinance, but also just grants, things like that, that we can go and apply for in the next year to increase our overall operating, budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think if we do that, and we should do that, and when we do that, if we're really good at this list we're working on right now, our planning, we can make those grants really intentional, targeted grants instead of like these big giant chunks of money. Like apply for grants that are specifically saying we want money to help, assess the value. We want an appraiser for our public art collection, or we want I don't know, I can't think of anything else right now, but something very specific.
Support for new murals.
Yeah, something.
For this
yeah,
mentorship program.
Yeah, mentors for public artists program, yeah.
I think the difficult thing that's going to be for us to apply for grants is we're not a 501c3. We're not an organization. Like, we ran into a little snag when we had to go for insurance for the Metro Enhancement Grant. I went to 3 different insurance agencies that said, you're not an organization, you're not a 501c3. We could insure an individual, but we can't. So I think the same thing in a grant program, in a public grant, we might run into the same thing as we're not.
We'll find them. They'll probably be
Okay.
smaller grants.
You're so good with
But-
grants, so yeah.
Thank you.
You can go for the grant. I'm gonna butter you up.
Any other suggestions for things for our agenda? I'm sure there's more. I will try and think of.
Speaking of grants, do we want to have it on our agenda to decide our next grant cycle? And
Oh, yeah, of course,
spend
yeah,
that
our
money.
own grant program.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think we
grant
should make a
program.
point to continue, flourish, and improve.
Yep.
Can we just put that on the list of like, never stop talking about it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
even,
one
like,
of the
talk
things that we
about-
talked about was having it like, just, and I didn't understand the whole concept, but how to make it continually rotate.
Yeah.
So that if somebody came to us and said, I need money, we had a process in place for that.
Yeah, well, I think also like either setting aside like an emergency
Yeah.
fund for people
Yeah, so
to,
it's a short turnaround
Yeah.
time, smaller amount of money. But yeah,
emergency grants.
Josh, you were gonna
I
say
have
something?
2 other things that kind of came up in my head during the presentation today. One was getting a resource going for tracking local artists with us so that, like we get these applications in, Brad was talking about, they keep track of everyone who ever submits stuff. We should probably have something similar to that, getting that going, so that we can, either share it broadly or refer back to it when we're doing these, outreaches. And 2, relationships with our local possible partners, businesses, organizations, and such. So we should probably look at ways we can start engaging with them. I was thinking during that presentation, it would be great to do a call out to, the Chamber of Commerce and say, come to our meeting, we're gonna have this, talk about a program that they wanna do here. We're looking for partners who have, walls that they wanna do murals on, and they can come, and maybe that's a good way to start building outreach and relationships.
Or one of us can go to a meeting and
Yeah.
like kind of
Right.
give a mini presentation.
Yeah.
Is there something that, oh, Emma's got Emma?
Could we like make a brochure about the Arts Commission that we could take with us to these events like that Josh is talking about, and some of the events that we have also helped to fund? Like, for instance, this Saturday is the Willamette Falls Community Celebration up at the Willamette Falls Media Center, and the Arts Commission, we funded about $2,500 of that. And it'd be great if we could go to an event like that, which is this Saturday from 2 to 5. It's right across from the high school. And, we could go there and like have brochures, say, oh, hi, we're the Arts Commission. Here's pictures of all the arts commissioners. Here's some of the programs that we work on. Here's how you can contact us, stuff like that. Could we do something like that?
Great.
That would be great.
And I know we've also talked potentially about creating our own website or
Right.
adding content to the existing site. The site on the city's page
Yeah.
really just talks about how you become a member of this commission, but it doesn't really talk about our projects and our goals. So we could, I don't think it would be hard to add additional content either to that page or create another page.
Yeah. Yeah, because for our own success moving forward, we definitely need to be communicating who we are and what we're doing to our community and for them, for sure.
Also, I was gonna throw out another
Like a logo.
thought. Do we think we need a dedicated planning workshop? Again, we had those way early
In
on.
the very beginning, when we were first born,
Yeah.
so to speak.
I think that might be a good idea.
I think an annual retreat would be kind of cool.
I think it'd be great.
Because I feel like we're doing that now kind of off the cuff, but I feel like if we take these and then like actually with more intention, have conversations and look back at our strategic plan and look at our, like, I think we have a mission, right? Didn't we make a mission?
Yeah.
Look at our mission, look at our strategic plan previously, what we've done, what we wanted, like, with real intention and time.
Brain notice to add mission to brochure.
Do you want to try to make time at the end of January for an additional meeting that would be just for strategic planning
retreat.
purposes?
A strategic retreat.
We go to a yurt somewhere?
Pizza down in Soul Flags is
There you go. That sounds great.
Or somewhere in between those two. I mean,
We could elevate a little bit.
yeah, it would have to be like somewhere in between.
But, or, you know, and I think we, yeah, I think that would be great to schedule something like that. Okay. Our list is growing.
It's growing, yeah.
Could we also put together like a community calendar, at least of the things that we've either funded or things that we think are important maybe to turn out for in the community? You know, so that we sort of have a community calendar that we can kind of map around in case we want to go as individual arts commissioners and kind of represent the Arts Commission at different events. Like we'll know when they're happening, like so that we know when, I mean, just the things that we funded are happening. And also the things that we think might be good to support, like maybe Pride next year or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Emma.
Like an arts and culture calendar put out by the Arts
Yeah,
Commission.
exactly, yeah, for Oregon City, yeah.
Are you, is that for internal use or is it gonna, are you thinking put it publicly so everyone can see it?
I think that's more for our use, in
Okay.
case there's places we want to kind of represent the Arts Commission at the community.
I mean, if it works for us, if we do it and we like it, and then we're like, oh yeah, this is cool, maybe we share it, but let's start with us and see what we get.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if it works out well, that would be a good thing to even just put on like our page on the city website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need T-shirts.
We're gonna need a logo.
Or at least a badge.
All right, details for this retreat meeting, we're gonna have all these, you can throw all of these on the wall and see what happens. Fire.
Do we even want to talk about other events and or art center, like starting partnerships to?
Yeah, we were
for-
talking about Wanda and Art Center like crazy in the beginning.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
could bring that, I mean,
We could bring
these
that
are
back.
all good things to bring up at the retreat, yeah,
Yeah.
so add that to the list.
Art center,
Things,
January
Art
retreat.
Center. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking the short-term goals and the long-term.
There we go, yeah.
yeah, we could do 1, 5, and 10 years, or,
And we might already put on the list, but to start right now for the next 2-year biennium budget, right now.
yeah,
Just add
budget
a
planning,
running
always,
list of-
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right, any other last final ideas to throw on our retreat agenda list of idea thingies?
It might be nice to have a look back at what we've accomplished as a
Yes.
way to begin the conversation
Yeah.
and,
That would feel really nice.
I
and
had
to
to give,
potentially have like a report of
Right.
some type that can be shared on our website so
I
that
had to
that
do a
reference.
presentation for Rotary Club on the, and that's exactly what I did, was a history of where we started, what we did. I have pictures in it of all the things we did, and so I can bring that. It's just a PowerPoint
Yeah.
presentation.
Maybe update it if there's things that have
Yes.
happened since.
And
Yeah.
turn it into a little.
Brochure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Seriously?
That's what this means.
Just gonna come
Yeah. That sounds perfect. All right, then we have 3 minutes left. Does anybody have any announcements, arts, things that are happening? I see one postcard waving in the air choir. Can you tell everybody?
So Three Rivers is doing their inaugural open studio tour. It's there's one in Westland and then the rest are in Oregon City. It's 7 studios, mine is 1. So it's October 13th, 14th, and 15th from like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's just kind of like, we're hoping that, I know there was a Beaver Creek studio tour that people are sad that's gone away. We're hoping that it'll like take the place of that a little bit and also just be something great for like, obviously our community and the trad community in general, so.
Great.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I did bring flyers. Thank you, Emma, for mentioning the, Willamette Falls Studio thing. So they brought flyers by to share with folks tonight at the Arts Commission. So it is this Saturday. And it is one of our grant recipients, so.
Oh,
come by
yeah,
and
so you
music
can add
and
this to your
tours and-
PowerPoint.
Yep.
Take a picture of it.
Yeah.
I do,
Very
I already
cool.
have this in my PowerPoint.
I
Yeah.
have 2 other quick
Thanks for
announcements that I've been asked to share with the Arts Commission. One comes from Heidi Blackwell, and she wanted to let folks know about an event taking place on October 14th that has to do with Hispanic Heritage Month. The event will feature free entertainment, games, art, food, and more. If you know somebody who would like to be a vendor at this event, I can send you more information. So, Hispanic Heritage Month celebration on October 14th. And I will send you information about it. So, but there's an open, vendors are, welcome to sign up. And also was asked to let folks know that the Clackamas Art Alliance is looking for new members for their board of directors. So I can forward you some information about that as well. If you or someone that you know would be interested in learning more about that organization and their leadership team, that's something to think about too.
Emma?
Yeah, just a couple more things. One, Oregon City, or Pride 2.0, which is part of what was called the Oregon City Pride Festival from this summer. We're having another event coming up this Saturday. It's going to be up at Clackamas Community College, and it goes from 1 to 5. So it's open to LGBTQIA plus folks and allies to come out and celebrate Pride in Oregon City. And then also, as the president of KBOO Radio, I'd like to invite you to our 55th anniversary block party. If you happen to be up in Portland on Saturday, we're going to have music, street vendors, crafts, fairs. It's all going to be happening in front of KBOO from 12 o'clock until 10 o'clock on Saturday. That's it. 20 Southeast 8th Avenue, and that's in Portland. Thank you.
Cool, very cool. Congrats on that.
Yeah.
My tiny self-announcement, everybody should go to Portland Art Museum and check out the Black Artists of Oregon exhibit. That's taking up like the entire top floor of the art museum right now. And I do have a piece of work in that exhibit,
Oh,
so
congrats.
yes. But it's up till March, so you guys got loads of time.
Will you be speaking at any events related to that?
Not as of yet that I know of. No, I mean, they can still recruit me, but not as of yet that I know of.
I'm looking for a temporary home for the Arch Bridge mural that we created. The Grand Tribes aren't quite ready to bring it into their museum because they already have an exhibit there. So I need kind of a temporary home for 3 months. I'm going to be contacting some art organizations, but if anybody has any ideas for a 4-foot by 12-foot mural piece, yeah, let me know.
Trace, what about over at Willamette Falls TV studio?
I will, I'll contact them. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just thought of something else that was really important. Now it slipped my mind.
And the Children's Theater that just opened, they have a
yeah.
pretty big space. They might be interested.
Yeah.
I'll give you 5 seconds, no pressure.
I know.
Before Mother Gavel comes down.
Came and it went like a flash.
Was it art related? I'm sure it's art
It
related.
was art.
Was it your art?
It was all my art. It was something else to do.
An event? Photography, painting? Okay, all right, well, we'll call it then. End of the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.